Emily Bhargava, and she's a mosaic and stained glass artist. And she's the director of something called the Connection Lab. She is going to focus on showing people how to use mosaic as a way to focus, calm down, and make something beautiful right here in your own homes. So, hello, Emily.
Hi, everyone. Um, I'm so pleased to be part of this group and part of this presentation. And I know that my segment will be a little bit different than the ones that have come before, but this might be moving us into the practical application for the day. So I am indeed a mosaic artist and a stained glass artist. I am also a community artist. So most of the projects that I do are collaborative. I work with groups, I work with schools, I work with organizations, I work with anyone who shows up when I'm organizing an activity. And I tend to work large scale. So the installations are wall sized. I can show you something that's sitting next to me on my work table. It's very big, done by a school here in Somerville. But these times of social distancing, or I should say physical distancing, have really changed the way that I'm engaging with this work. And my other hat is that I work in prevention and health promotion. I do a lot of substance misuse prevention at a community level. And one of the things that is so key to prevention across the board is just finding ways to modulate and moderate our emotions and make sure that we're feeling good in ourselves. So I have found through the years that mosaic, in addition to being a wonderful collaborative art, is also something that helps with calming and with centering and with focus on an individual level. It's something that I introduce to a lot of people who have never done any art before and don't feel confident with making things. So I'm going to share with you a couple of tips and tricks and processes that you can use to make mosaics in your own home with whatever you might have around. I'm going to tip my screen down so that you can see what's in front of me, and hopefully this will all be clear. First, I'd like to show you some mosaic materials that I've gathered. So this is an assortment of things. I have some stones. These happen to be stones that were packaged up for putting in a planter, but you can also go outside and walk through the neighborhood and collect stones. I have some beans. These are black beans and white beans from my cabinet, which you can use and then still eat. I have some glass circles that came also from a floral section. I have some tiles that are glass that were made for mosaic specifically. And last, I have some broken ceramics. So one of my favorite things to do is to take a plate or take a cup, especially one that I dropped on the floor and broke accidentally, and then turn it into mosaic materials. So if you have a plate, I'm gonna lift up the screen again. If you have a plate or something else that's broken or that you love and you wanna do something new with, you can definitely find yourself a hammer, put that plate into a bag, put on your goggles if you have any, and just bash it, put it on something hard, and it is incredibly therapeutic to break something on purpose. So that can give you some lovely pieces to work with. So again, back to the pieces. I have all kinds of colors, and I would like to show you the kinds of things that you can mosaic on top of. I happen to have some leftover tiles from a renovation that we did. I also have a piece of masonite. I also have a wooden picture frame that can be fun. And I have a plate, because sometimes the mosaics that I make are temporary. So if I'm making a temporary mosaic, I do not need to use glue. I can just take the time to arrange things. I've been working a lot lately with mandalas, with circular patterns that are very calming. And especially for the temporary mosaics, those have been very satisfying for me. So I start in the center and I work my way out, and I let the design grow and evolve as I move out to the edges of the circle. That's something that you can do, but if you want to work with glue, you can make something more permanent. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So you can imagine this design growing as it expands and having some other materials, but for right now, I'm going to brush it away and show you how you might work with glue. So I'm going to imagine that I want to make a mosaic on here. I like to just make some shapes that aren't necessarily representative, especially when I'm starting mosaic with someone for the first time. So I have my lines and my sections, and I can start to take my pieces of tile and fill up each space, each section with a different color. And the way that I do that is I begin by putting the pieces along the edges. So I follow that curve that I made with my pieces. And I'm starting to get this line to be nice and smooth. I'm finding blue pieces of ceramic as I go. Now, I don't know if any of you have read the research that's out there about the benefits, the therapeutic benefits of puzzles, but I believe, although the research has not yet been done, that doing a mosaic should have all the same benefits, because we get a little bit of dopamine, a little rush of dopamine every time we get a piece to fit perfectly, and we can concentrate all of our thinking on this one task. So I will not have you watch me make this whole mosaic, but as you can see, I'm following the line. I would do the whole edge, and then I would fill smaller pieces into the center to fill up all of the remaining spaces. Sometimes people use a tool like this, which is a nipper for cutting tiles and cutting glass and ceramic into smaller pieces, but I find that a hammer does just as well. I think that I'm out of my 5 minutes, but I hope that this has inspired you to go try a mosaic. It can be super simple, but it's a way to focus your attention for a few minutes and find yourself a calm space and a project to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emily. I am very inspired maybe to break almost accidentally some of the things in my cabinet. But also, it's just very restful to watch you making that, even when we weren't doing it ourselves. And so I think there was also some empathy going on from everybody in the room watching you making that beautiful mosaic. Well, thank you so much.